Hello, everyone. Welcome back to GDSC. I hope I am audible. So, I'm also watching you guys now here at the YouTube live. If you guys can hear me, please drop down in the chat box so I can know that you can hear me clearly. I can already see a lot of people are here. Nice. So to get started, welcome back everybody. For those who are new, welcome to the family. And we are here welcoming you to GDSC UM and also GDSC UniKL. And I'll be talking about it more in a while. And those who are here, how was the week? I hope you had fun. And those who were busy with Valentine, it's enough, bro. It's enough. Let's end that. Back to here, back to knowledge, back to learning here. Okay. So now, what I'm going to talk about is for your information, tonight's event is very special. And you know why? Because it's a collaboration between GDSC University of Malaya and GDSC University Kuala Lumpur. So, GDSC UM and UniKL are part of global developer communities for university students. And 2019 is the first year of its inception in Malaysia. Since 2019, GDSC has organized a variety of technical workshops, events, tech talks to empower the community with Google technologies by bringing the gap between theory and practice. So, that is not all why it's special, because we have something more, which is we're also joined by a very special guest, Iskandar, who is working as a senior assistant director in an e-commerce MERS business. And yep, bring your friends in. Nice. I can see that all of you are saying you can hear me clearly. So I'm happy about that. So those friends who have set the reminder but not here yet, just bring them up. Call them. Just tell them the event is up. Faster, faster, faster. 18 people, not enough. We need to share more knowledge. Share it to your friends. Come on. Okay. Nice. I can see a lot of people hyped up. And those who want to know about what is gonna be about. So this event today, right here, we have three different sessions. But don't worry, you have breaks in between. So to get started, okay, guys, 1 minute up. So now I think we are ready. I hope you are ready too. So for those who are here, let's make some noise, and I'll pass the stage to our community division for the next section. Bring it on.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Praveen, for that. So yeah, today the community team of GDSC UM will actually be sharing with you guys about the design sprint. So first, without further ado, let me introduce the speakers that will be talking to you for the design sprint today. So firstly, there's me, Kesava. So I'm a second year student of computer science. I'm specializing in data science, and I'm the community lead for GDSC UM. So let me pass it to Atira.
Hello everyone, my name is Noor Athira. I am currently in my second year of studies in Bachelor of Software Engineering in University of Malaya, and I am one of the community team members in GDSC UM. I'll pass it to Sabrina.
Hello everyone, my name is Sabrina. I'm doing second year economics in UM. I'm also a member of community team in GDSE UM. I'll pass to Samuel.
All right. Thank you, Sabrina. Hello, everyone. I hope each and every one of us here are doing extremely well. My name is Samuel Bindoni alias Zoni, but you guys can just call me Sam. I'm currently a first year student enrolling in data science course in University of Malaya, and also a proud community core team member of GDSC UM. All right. I think I'll pass it back to Kesava.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel, for that introduction. So, without further ado, let me just get right into the design sprint. So, most product teams will actually have to go through this cycle that you see here in the screen right now. So, they would have to build something, go through the tedious trouble of launching it, and putting it in the hands of the users. Once it's in the hands of the users, they're able to get an idea of how a user can actually feel when they are getting the product or when they are using the product. So, are they actually satisfied with the product or unsatisfied? Do they have any feedback on what can be improved in this application? So from this process, we then learn from the users and then we try to ideate on how we can improve the product and solve the problems faced by the users or even add features that make them enjoy the product even more. So normally, since we've already launched the product, these sort of new ideas and improvements will be the updates that are done to the application. So this part can incur a bit of cost later on compared to if it was launched previously during the planning phase itself. So this is an incredibly time consuming and expensive process. But actually most of the time and money is concentrated in these build and launch phases. So what if we could actually shorten the cycle? What if we could remove the parts that are both time consuming and expensive, letting us not only save time but also save money? So now that is the whole purpose of the design sprint that we are conducting today. So this short workshop intends to provide you with stuff that needs to be done in designing your application for the solution challenge, and maybe try to encapsulate as well why is these processes important. But please be informed that we will only be showing the procedures that need to be done in the design day. However, the activity of doing can be done in sort of a take-home assessment. So you guys can actually view the recording later on and maybe try to do it with your team. Now, the reason for us actually doing this is that the actual design sprint would take up to 5 days to carry out. So due to time constraint and wanting to make it shorter for the participants, we decided to carry out in this format. So now let me pass the floor to Samuel.
All right, thank you, Kesava. So tonight we'll be sprinting through 6 checkpoints or phases, like what you guys see on the screen over here. Okay, we won't be breaking any sweats, but we will be unleashing our inner creativity and knowledge. Okay, no need to be rigid with these phases. As long as you guys can grasp the concept and are able to apply, I believe you guys are good to go. Okay, so the first phase here is the understand phase. Specifically, we want to acknowledge the problem first, kind of like dissect it before jumping into what possible solutions that we can take. When the problem is not well understood, the solutions that we're trying to actualize only will create new problems. So we don't want that to happen. Okay? So for the next phase is the define phase. You need to evaluate everything that you have learned in the previous phase to establish focus. Okay, what focus that I'm trying to explain here, I'm going to explain it later on. So this can be done by defining specific contexts and desired outcomes of potential solutions. So the phase concludes by choosing a specific focus for your design sprint. Ultimately, define your goals, objectives, what you guys want to achieve, your success metrics, and so on. So that's what we're going to do in this define phase. Okay, so this also includes what scope of user or users are you trying to encapsulate. For example, who will be using your prototype? Is it college students or teachers or even for businesses? Anywho, this will sharpen the focus of your prototype. All right, for the next phase is the sketch phase. You'll be starting to look for, oh, I'm going to take this inspiration. I'm going to take this inspiration, okay? So what you guys trying to do over here is that each and our delightful participants over here will individually generate ideas for consideration. From there, you need to narrow down the ideas into a single, well-articulated solution sketch. Okay, from my recommendation to get more enlightenment, be sure to always communicate with people around you for their ideas as well. Okay, when there are many solution sketches, we need to decide on which one will be heading. Therefore, in the decide phase, we need to finalize the direction or concept to be prototyped. For groups, they will need to find a consensus on a single idea through decision-making processes or exercises. The final direction will aim to address the design sprint focus. Okay, for our next phase is the prototype phase. All of the design sprint participants need to create a prototype of your concept. Okay, so might be some of you guys are new to the prototype term. Okay, you can think of your prototype as an experiment in order to test out a hypothesis. This means that you have to think critically about what you will be building in order to get the feedback that you want to validate or rectify for your hypothesis. Okay, for the last phase over here, it will be the validate phase. This is the moment of truth where your concept will be presented in front of users. You will get the feedbacks who interacted with your prototype. You'll end your sprint with a validated concept or an invalidated concept to improve on. But either way, you have made progress, you learned something, and most importantly, you tried. Okay, at the end of the day, what we are trying to achieve here is we want to solve the problem. Okay, be sure to always check whether your prototype solves the problem or not. So for the next session, I'm going to pass to my awesome community core team member, who is Sabrina, to explain the flow for our next session.
Thank you, Samuel. So, what will this workshop actually will look like? So, design sprint, it is a 5-part workshop. So, first, if you're in a team, all of this will be done in that team. If you're just an individual participant, you'll do this on your own. So, for part 1, we'll try to identify the user and map out their problem. For part 2, we'll sketch solution on a piece of paper using a method called Crazy 8. Don't worry if you never heard of what Crazy 8 is, my team member will explain later. So for part 3, we'll vote on which idea to go with. For part 4, we'll use the Marble app to create a usable prototype out of a paper mockups. For part 5, we'll test it out on each other and see what we learn. And lastly, we'll all take a moment to demo and celebrate what we have accomplished. Next, I'll pass to Athira.
All right, thank you very much, Sabrina. Moving on to the problem. So the point of this workshop is to help us actually solve a particular problem aligned with the GDSC 2022 Solution Challenge mission, which is to solve for one of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals using Google technology. And for the sake of the exercise, let's say this is the problem we want to solve, which is it's hard to buy hats and glasses virtually and ensure that they look and feel good while being worn. Well, simply put, successful solutions solve a well-defined problem. It is really important for you to truly understand the problem. And some people just jump into building a project that they are super excited about, but end up with a small number of users. And this could happen if we started at the wrong place, where the solution that you are focusing does not solve the actual problems. Therefore, one of the approaches suggested by the Google developer itself in order for us to find the problem, besides jumping off to do research on a specific topic on the internet, is by communicating with people around you. And by this, it could be students at your campus, any local organizations around you. Do ask them what problems that they may have and the problems that share in comments. Ask them what they truly feel in facing the problem. So the key here is to always start your project by identifying the problem first, then decide how you want to apply technology to solve it. All right, moving on to the next slide. So in the first step, we will try to identify the user and map out their problem. So you can simply take a pen and a paper or use any kind of tools that you are comfortable with and draw a picture of your user and give them a name. Yes, this is actually important because it helps you communicate about the personas. Then write down a few characteristics that will help define them as a user of your product. And one of the mapping method that you may use is user journey mapping method, where journey maps are often used for a specific type of users, also known as a persona. If there are many users or players involved in the problem space, multiple journey maps may be required, one for each user type. So how to start a journey map depends on where you are in your product cycle. If you're doing a design sprint for a new product or you are in the early stages of the product cycle, you may want to explore a certain use case for your product and start your journey map with the user's initial entry point into that particular use case. And if you have an existing product and are further along in the cycle, you may start your journey map when the user is first introduced to your product. For example, when they are searching for your product or when they are onboarding or setting up an account. So as for example, here we have Joe and Muhammad with a few characteristics on the site. And this phase would be totally helpful for you as you can narrow down the problems and ideas you might have so that you can come up with a proper solution. Okay, so I will now pass the floor to the next presenter, Sam.
All right, after mapping, our lovely design sprint participants will be going for the next part, which is sketching. Okay, for this part, we'll be doing the crazy eights method. Interesting term, is it not? But what is crazy eights actually? Okay, so for crazy eights is a core design sprint sketching method. It is a fast sketching exercise that challenges people to sketch 8 distinct ideas in just 8 minutes. So, in this sketching part, there is no right or wrong answers. The goal here is to push beyond your first idea, frequently the least innovative one, and to generate a wide variety of solutions to your challenge. Okay, so so how is this thing will be done is that first you should take a piece of paper and fold it up like you see on the screen. Be prepared to set your timer for 8 minutes because you should be writing an idea down in each rectangle, generating 8 ideas in total. Hence, which also brought us all back to the name Crazy Eights. So when you're generating these ideas and writing them down, try and keep in mind the problem and the user. But be sure to draw and write down any ideas that come to your mind, completely unfiltered. This will help keep the creative juices flowing. So for example, the first rectangle will be the first interface whenever the user uses your prototype. Okay, let's say that you want to develop a directory for your homepage. So you can just utilize the first rectangle to kind of like sketch the options. Okay, so when the user clicks option one, then you can utilize the second rectangle to visualize the next interface. It could be anything. Okay, so don't worry if you're not a creatively inclined individual or you don't have any design background or you're not an artist. Okay, the idea with the Crazy Eights exercise is to generate as many ideas as possible within a short time frame. Again, there is no right or wrong answers here. All right. Okay. We're trying to focus on the quantity of ideas, not the quality. So hopefully at the end of this exercise, you have got a ton of diverse ideas. Out of all of these, do bear in mind that some of them won't be workable, some of them might be duplicative, but some of them could be the root for your solution. You never know unless you try. So unleash your creativity, go wild with the visuals. Rest assured, it is not necessary to be very specific. All right, for the next part, which is the decide phase, I'm going to pass it to Sabrina.
All right. Okay, so we have done part two, which is sketching. Now it comes to part three, which is deciding. So put all of the ideas down on a table or on a paper, and it's time to vote. So we'll be using a dot voting system, and everyone can vote for whatever they want as many times as they want. So the idea with the most votes win. This is how we will be doing if it were in a physical setting. So this process provides an opportunity for the team or for the individual to gain a better understanding of the intended solution and also to look into the differences from the similar idea. Plus, narrowing down your ideas can ensure you stay focused on accomplishing the task that needed to be done. So I'll pass to Case.
All right, okay, thank you, Sabrina. So now that we have an idea, it's time to prototype. So the process is, for me, is one of the most important parts of this design sprint. So why is it important? So firstly, it allows us to evaluate the technical feasibility. So from designing the prototype, you'll be able to understand which aspects of the idea would be difficult to develop or even maybe impossible to implement later on technically. So from here, you're able to rectify any sort of problem that you discover and try to find a different method to approach this feature or maybe to implement this feature. So another important reason of carrying out prototyping is that it allows us to simulate the real product. So by simulating the product, you'll be able to check the design suitability before it even comes to production. So from here, we are able to discover any design errors. So this would mainly be in the interface. So from here, you can also rectify similar to that of the technical aspect of it. Finally, prototyping allows us to provide a focused feedback. So in each team, I believe that each member would have a different vision of how the application would turn out. So by coming up with a prototype, you can have an engaging discussion on how they would want certain features to be implemented, implemented, or how they would want the user interface to look for certain aspects of the application. So from here, from the discussion, you're able to unify all these ideas when coming up with the product. All right, so now that I've sort of explained on the importance of prototyping, so you should have drawn from the previous aspects of the previous step. So you would have drawn the user interface and whatnot. So this will be where you try to sort of map it together. So from drawing with the previously in the sketching that you carried out, you can sort of separate it into which type of interfaces would go together. So for example, if you look at the screen right now, for the previous problem, which was related to the hat and binoculars, so we can see that over here we have like the sign up page, and then what would the user do over here? Maybe they would tick what they would want to do. They can even combine. So it'll be something like this. You can even add extra pages, like maybe a transactional page where people would go to carry out their payment. So all of this can be done here. And then later on, you'll try to string them together using the Marvel application. So the Marvel application is a wonderful platform that can be used to carry out or to design usable and testable prototypes. So you can work together with your team to come out with a prototype, and it can be edited in real time. So you can share the link with each other, and all of you all can access it at the same time and try to edit it to how you want the user interface to look like. So with that being said, let me show you guys a short tutorial on how to use Marvel.
So let's get started. In any prototype project, head over to the Add Images button and then select Design in Marvel. This opens our in-browser design tool. And here you can design and wireframe any screen you need directly in Marvel. Let's go through the different options you have available so you get more familiar with the design tool. First up, you have the usual options such as drawing a rectangle, circle, entering text, drawing lines. And one of the great features of the design tool is that you can search over 1 million stock photos and icons to add to your design. We also have a number of different wireframing pre-made assets available and elements, so you can quickly add those to your design too. And you can also save any of your components that you create to the team library, so the rest of your workspace has access. I'm going to go through the step-by-step process of designing a very simple email app and then turning it into a prototype. Let's get started by adding some text to kick off our design. And once you've added an element to the canvas, you have more options on the right-hand side to edit that element, such as changing its color. In this particular case, the font, the weight of the font, and the size and positioning. Let's make this a bit bigger. And double click to change the word to give our app a title. Now let's add some more text and make this one a bit of a lighter weight and change it to regular. Okay, so this is looking good. So time to add some pre-made elements and assets from our wireframing library. I'm going to add a status bar and a button. And I can double click on this button to either edit the color, the shape, or the text. Here I'm just going to change the text for now. And my first screen looks good. Now I can add another screen by hovering over the bottom left-hand option, Add Design, and clicking on that gives me a new canvas. So I'm just going to go through and add some more elements once again. This time round, I'm going to add a navigation bar, double click to edit it, remove a couple of the items that I don't need by just hitting delete on the keyboard. And now I can copy and paste some of the other wireframe elements to quickly create my inbox. This looks good. Let's move on to the next screen. So on this screen, I want to show the contents of the email. So I'm just going to add in a bit more text and also start thinking about what kind of image I want to use from a stock photo library. And I think a cat seems like a good idea. So let's add one of those in. We have our very furry looking cat. Let's resize it to make it fit. And it looks like the cat's a bit bigger than the artboard. So by clicking on the artboard name, I can now resize the canvas to make the cat fit. And let's copy and paste some text to make it fill it up. And we are good to go. We have our email screen. So let's click close, and that takes us back to the project, and we now have our 3 designs waiting to be turned into prototypes. Hover over any of the designs and click on prototype, and you'll be taken into the prototype editor where you can click and draw interactive hotspots over the top of your design to make one screen link to another. So I'm just going to go through linking the screens together and getting to that final screen of the email content, and then linking back to the previous screen to finish the prototype. Now if I close the editor and hit play, we get to preview the prototype in the browser. Now that I have a working prototype in Marvel, there's so much more I can do with it. I can share it with other people directly to their phone or desktop device. I can turn it into a user test and start testing it, or I can ask people to leave comments on it so I can get more feedback. To find out more about those things, check out our other videos. And that wraps up our guide to designing in.
Alright, so hopefully you guys got to learn a bit more about the Marvel application. So as you can see, it's really interactive and it can be used in a multitude of ways when you're designing your prototype. So now that we are done with the prototype, let's go to the next part, which is, testing. Alright, so testing is something that works hand in hand with prototyping. It's also for me one of the most important parts, maybe the second most important parts when it comes to this design sprint. So as mentioned just now in the video, with Marvel, you can come up with your own testable prototype. So as you can see here in the screen being shared right now, you can see that you can do a lot of interactions. You can click next right here, and then it brings you to the next page. You can click next again, and you can carry out even your own login. You can type details right over here. So you can do a lot of stuff with this. So from this, you can share with others. You can share the workable link with others. They can leave comments over there. They can tell you on what can be improved. So when you're carrying out this testing, be sure to not only share with your team. You should also try to share with others, as much people as possible, so you can get an early feedback compared to you wanting to improve your app later on from getting feedback from other people, which would incur extra costs. Getting feedback right now would help you to develop a better app from the start itself and lower the amount of updates that you would have to do later. So this would be something that can save time and can also save a lot of money. So you can share the links with your group mates, you can share the links with your advisor even maybe, and from here you're able to learn much more about what can be added from the feedback given. So right now, back to my presentation. So I think that would mainly be it for our presentation regarding the design sprint. I really hope you guys managed to learn something from this design sprint. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any inquiries regarding this presentation or if you require any feedback later on from our side. Now, there's actually one more thing that I would like to mention before we head on over to our Q&A section, which is about the Padlet that we've done. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Padlet, it's sort of like a pinboard or whiteboard where you can share information. Maybe like Miro even if you've used it before. So we'll be sharing a link for the Padlet in the chat later. You guys can check it out. Over there, you guys can share information about yourself if you're looking for a team. And you can also share your team information if you're looking for team members. So this is mainly for the solution challenge that we've put up this. I've also set up a template for you guys in which you guys can add your name. Feel free to follow this template, or you can even use your own template if you want to mention any type of details that you want to be specified over there. So you can add a photo, or you can add for your team, maybe you can even add your team logo or your team photo if you have anything for that. So that will be it for the Padlet. If you guys have any inquiries regarding it, feel free to let me know about it with the contact details that I've provided in the Padlet right here. So now heading on over to the Q&A section, you guys can drop all your Q&A in the YouTube and we'll try to answer you from anything that you want to know about the design sprint. So let's go, guys. So I'm looking at the chat right now. So far, there's no questions. By the way, guys, the recording can be later be found in our GDSC UM page. So over there, you guys can access it and you can try to carry out this design sprint again. And maybe if you have any inquiries also, you can reach out to me in the LinkedIn information or even my phone number I've put up in the Padlet. So you guys can feel free to reach out to me there. If you've designed something and you want to be and you want some feedback regarding it, maybe you want me to test out your prototype, feel free to just let me know and maybe we can try it out later. All right, so far I don't see any questions. We'll just wait a bit more. If there's nothing, I'll pass it back to the MC. All right. I believe there's no question in GDSC UM's YouTube Live. What about UniKL? All right, so I have one here. Does the host perhaps have some example from past projects that you can share with viewers? So, for me personally, I've not had any. I've not actually used this method yet. I've learned about it, and I'm planning to use it after this for any type of hackathons that I plan to join. But I can share with you the link for a prototype that was shared by our member Athira just now. Maybe you guys can take a look at it. So this was the question by Smurfette in the UniKL chat. So yeah, later maybe I'll send the link to you. I'll send the link to one of your GDSC UniKL members, and you guys can take a look at it. Hope that helps. Any other questions? All right, perhaps we'll wait until a while more. All right, so we actually have one question in the GDSC UM live sharing. So this is by Z. So if the design sprint were to be carried out via online meeting, how would you suggest it to do it? Or would it be the same? All right, so yeah, as mentioned just now when Sabrina presented, some of the parts have to be carried out when it was done physically. So maybe for certain parts like the designing, it can be done online using the Marble app itself. You can carry out drawings on the app itself. You can add text. You can add certain type of images. Maybe you can even carry out a drawing and then maybe you can scan the image and then add it to the board later for what is it for Marble, because Marble you can add images as well. So by using that power, you can just scan some images that you've designed and then you can share it on the Marvel board. Then all of your team can share it, as the links just need to be shared with your team, or you can even add their email to the design and then they will be able to view it. So yeah, that's a good question, Z. All right, I think just wait a while more if there's any questions. All right. Okay. I don't think there's any more questions for now. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me with with my LinkedIn or with my phone number that's mentioned in the Padlet. But that's all for now. Hope you guys enjoyed our presentation. Hopefully you guys managed to learn something. And good luck for your preparation for the solution challenge. So I'd like to pass it back to the MC, Praveen.
Thank you so much, Case. So, guys, I hope you guys learned more from the first section. And first of all, thank you, Keswa. Thank you, Noor Athira, Noor Sabrina, and Samuel, the community division of GDSC UM. They did a great job. And for me, my favorite part was the Crazy Eight. It was amazing. It was literally amazing. And I would say, yes, such things when we do it in physical, it's a lot more fun. And when the creativity that comes out in physical, is a lot more, I would say, mind blowing. And of course, I would like to remind you guys about the Padlet also that was just talked by community division just now. So if you guys notice, if there was a picture just now in the Padlet, there was case. So if you guys want to drop it there, you guys go and also see case face right there, or also drop by there just to see what is going on the Padlet. So I hope you guys just go there to know. And yes, hope everyone enjoyed the first session. Now, before we continue, the momentum is quite high, and let's slow it down a bit, So let's take a break. And from now, I'll catch you guys after 5 minutes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I hope you guys are back here. So I can see there are about 30 people here. Bring your friends, guys. We need more people. And I hope all of you guys had a short break and just hope it's refreshing enough for you guys. So let's welcome everyone back and we're moving on to the next session. Yes. Before we get going with the next session, let's get to know about our speaker, which is on. He's going to talk about a workshop on UX and product design. So our speaker today is currently working as a senior art director in an e-commerce business. He's a seasoned creative designer with more than 5 years of experience, responsible for daily visual designs needs for in-house and agencies. He has helped many teams with different goals, solving their visual problems, acquisitions, content, product development, and many more. He has been practicing UI UX on various environments, virtual expos, augmented reality, virtual reality, web development, and many more. And he'll be able to share UI UX practices from creative design perspective today with us. Yes. So the man is none other than Iskandar Zulkarnain. So the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Hey, audio good, I believe. 1 second. Yep, we good. Okay, hi everyone. I hope everybody is having a good Friday night. Okay, I'm here to share a little bit about like whatever you guys are doing here. I'm gonna try to help a little bit in terms of the visual and product design, in terms of the UI and UX in short. Okay. So before that, a little bit of introduction about myself. So that's me and that's my cat. And I am currently working as an art director in a company, but I also try to work on UI UX projects at nights and on weekends. It's kind of like you could say a passion project. So I've been trying to play around here and there, just trying to understand user consumer understandings, things like that. But apart from that, I'm still a human being. I play video games. I love to run. And I like to sleep. Okay. All right. So before I begin, I've heard all the the points shared by all the other speakers, and they are very much industry standards. So really great stuff on them. They really have really great points. So wherever you are listening, whether live or afterwards, try to take a good point of it. Those process are is the right way to do things. Okay, so before that, I'm just gonna start talking about visual and UI UX. Okay, but before that, I want to make sure you guys understand what are we doing here. So some of you guys are UI UX designers, product design, visual design. You guys are also graphic designers. Some of you guys do softwares. Some of you guys do website designs. But why are you doing this? Why are you designing UI? Why are you designing an app? Why are you coding an app? Okay. Um, so we are actually trying to solve a problem. Okay, this has been mentioned before in previous session. What we are doing here, we are actually solving a problem. We are solving a goal. We are solving an objective. So all this website you create, right? It's not just for fun. You don't create an app just for fun. Even this Google solution challenge thing, you were given a challenge that is a problem, and you are meant to solve it by creating an app. Okay, it's really really important to understand that before you do anything. I don't want you guys to jump into creating an app without understanding what are you guys actually doing. All right, next. So, so you're solving a problem. You understand that now. Now you are gonna be creating an app. The first step to create that solution is to understand the problem itself. As mentioned in the previous section as well, uh, you were meant to understand what exactly is the SGD, which is the problem given to you. Understand exactly what is the challenge. The challenge was like to buy a hat and glasses, right? But you don't go try to make a different problem. You have to understand exactly what is the problem. Okay. And then second, you understand the target user. This is very important, also mentioned in the previous section. Uh, Under this scope, you're gonna be creating, target audience, surveys, user persona. That is a very, very important thing to do. So why is user persona important? Because when you create an app, right, there's a lot of factors going in to make sure the app is successful. You have to understand, is the guys using this app an old people, or are they like young people, or are they like corporate people, or are they like OKUs, for example, right? So this thing is really, really important in terms of designing your app. Like you couldn't be designing anything super dark in your UI when your user are corporate and older people. You can't do that, right? This kind of thing will cause you a problem in the term of usability. So that's why target user is really important. So make sure whenever you do your project, you understand who exactly is going to be using that, and it's gonna really, really affect how you design your project. Next one. Okay, after that, you understand your target user, then you create the product solution. This is where you come in to design the app, right? It could be a different thing, like it could be designing a website or anything. But at the end of the day, it's a solution to your problem. And then lastly, to design it well. So you're going to be creating your solution, your product, right? But at the end of the day, you have to create it to solve this problem. That you have to make sure it's designed well so that people, you achieve that goal. Because your goal was to help the user settle the problem, right? But you have to design it well so that people get to solve that problem at the end with your app. Okay, so let's understand a little bit. So this is kind of a summary to what I was talking about. So you have a user problem, like contoh lah, people want to make an order, food online, and then people want to manage their projects better. People want to, how do I track my steps daily? Yeah? So you create an app. So you create an app to solve this problem. And then by designing this product, you have to measure the UI UX of this product. UI UX is, I'll explain that in a little bit, but UI UX is what we're trying to learn here. It's like, how do you design a good product? That is what UI UX is. Okay. Right. So what is UI and UX exactly? I want to explain more, but I want to make sure this is a very, very important term, especially when you get into the industry. Whenever you're designing something, you got to know what is the UI and the UX. So UI is basically, just to put it in a very simple term, UI is basically, you design nice layout, you design cantik lah, like really nicely arranged, and then you design really nice button. You know, this button is a bit rounded, circles, squares, and then you design really nice color. Like the whole screen was super colorful and really nice to look at lah. And lastly, you design like pretty icons, right? Your icon is super nice. You design it with Illustrator. But what is UX? UX is you design everything, right? But does your user achieve the goal of the screen that you design? So you created a really nice screen, but does the user know how to use it? And how fast does your user get into your intended action? What is the struggle does your user have to get into your goal in the app? Does your user use the app the way that you want them to? Again, to understand this, you have to remember that you are designing something to solve a problem. Okay, so you design an app to solve a problem. You design an app to allow people to order food, for example. But then how hard is it for them to order the food? Like, do they have to click 10 times here and there and then go to payment method, and then they have to log in with Facebook? They have to share with their friend. You know, that's a very bad UX. Because I want to just like use an app. I open my app, I open the homepage, I want to eat that, order, pay, settle. That is a good UI UX. Okay, see that there is the difference over there. Okay, so yeah, just to put things in perspective, UI is, okay, you design a mug to drink with, right? And then you, the UX is, you see lah, the design is super nice. But when you drink it, you see lah what happened there. So is that a good UX? That is a bad UX. It's a nice UI, might be, but it's a bad UX. So that thing has to come together, okay? All right, moving on. So now you understand what is a product and what is a UI UX. So I don't want to go too deep into this because you have seen this process before. It's been shared by the community team. But the process is pretty much the same. You don't simply just like, you know, one stage to another, next. It's a cycle. When you design an app, it's a cycle. You learn. Learn is basically you find out what is the user persona, what is the problem and everything. And then you build, you create the app itself, you work with your developer to code everything. You measure. Measure is where the testing stage is. You dah design kan, but then you need to try this out on actual people, because like you think that, oh, I actually okay kan, boleh ni settle ni. But then tiba-tiba bila someone else use it, right? It's like, there's a problem. They are stuck here. They don't know what to click next. See, this thing is not your fault. This is where software design has to be tested again and again and again. All right. Okay, so I don't want to get too deep into this. Just now was a kind of a very simple product design process that you guys have to follow within this exercise, this Google solution design. But if some of you guys plan to go into the industry as a, working on startups and design, software design, app design, this kind of thing, you will get familiar with agile method. Agile method is a process that you should look at. It's a process that is used by, if not all, most of the app development people. It's a process. Like you define, design, develop, test, and then it goes on and on and on. Baru you proceed next. You don't follow the waterfall method anymore. Waterfall method is a very outdated technique. It's prone to cause you a lot of problems. Like macam tadi I tell you, right, like you design an app, suddenly some people they don't know how to use it. So what happens next? You meant to go back to the previous stage. Okay, I again don't want to go too deep into this. Just keep an eye out for agile method. Okay. So there's a little bit of quote here you can read, but basically this guy Eric Rice, he created this concept called minimum viable product. This is also a term that is used a lot when you get into work. Minimum viable product is basically your app at the very simplest form of it. So let's say you are in a solution challenge, right? Like you meant to support you're going to be creating an app, so you have a lot of ideas, right? Excuse me, you have a lot of ideas, you have a lot of features that you want to put in, but you have like what, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, so you cannot put everything together. So what you do there, you create an MVP is basically the simplest form of your app that can solve your problems already. Again, refer back to you, what is the original problem. The rest is just an additional feature that you want to add in. The rest you can add in after and after and after. So MVP is the very important part, the very important function of your app. So finish that, basically you can launch your apps already. Okay, the rest it can be a later update. So that's how apps are usually released. If you see Grab, Uber, Foodpanda, everyone started with MVP, and then suddenly they have Grab Pay, they have like Grab Express, they have um, Grab Mart, all of those, right? They have like all of extra feature, but the original was just Grab, as in the transportation e-hailing. That was their MVP. Right. Okay. Just to touch a little bit on wireframe. So let's say you have defined all your problems. You know who is your target audience. You understand your problems already, um, and then you know how to you want to start to design your apps. Okay. You're gonna pick a tool. Case suggested to use Frame App. There's a lot of other software out there to use this. You can even sketch with your hands, right? So you want to start to design the interface already, the UI. You define, okay, you want to create an e-commerce app, right? The one with the glasses, to buy a glasses and hats. So you start to design your screen, like you look at references, you look at Shopee, you look at Lazada, and you start to design. This one click to go where? This is a wireframe. Wireframe does not have to be super complex. There's a term for it, low fidelity and high fidelity. But that is much more for later on. Right now, what you have to understand is wireframe is just a sketch of how your app is going to be. Is the workflow, is the flow of your app itself. Like when you design an app, you want to know every single screen within your app, and then you have to figure out where does this button go to. Okay, so where do you want to put your buttons? Where do you want to log in? What is the first thing that people see? What if this page is an error? Where do they go to? Okay, this wireframe has to have everything of the MVP. Okay, it doesn't have to have everything, but you have to have your MVP features. All right. Feel free to drop any questions so far if you have in the chat. I'll take a look in a bit. So you see again, this is an example of a website development. Actually, with software also same. It starts with a wireframe. This is called a low fidelity wireframe. This is literally just a pencil and paper. So you meet your boss, or okay, in this context, you're gonna be having a team discussion. Hey, we want to do this app. Okay, someone sketch it. We want to do the shopping page. We want to do the browsing page. You sketch it. and then after that you get into the high fidelity sketching. So high fidelity sketching is basically just a more complex look lah, like it's designed in software already. But if you ask me, if you are rushing, no need lah, you just like from here can terus go into your actual final product already. Okay, yes, this is the final product. So see from the sketches what happens here. So why is wireframe so important? Can you imagine you have an app idea, you're not sure yet what is the flow, what is the screen. Suddenly you terus design the final product. You design so pretty, right? All the colors, everything. Suddenly your user stuck. Like, where is the login button? What happened if I click here? And then suddenly, I think this information is more important. See, this is too late already. You already designed everything. You already put a lot of effort. This is why you need to sketch this already. This is meant for you to discuss among yourself, to finalize this is the flow that you're going for your app. Okay, once you confirm that, baru you design to the high fidelity. Okay. Otherwise, this is meant for to save your time lah, and to catch a lot of discussion in the very early stage of your app development. All right, so okay, so just now I already touched about software's visual design, product design and UI UX. So now, how do we design a product well? With a good user interface and visual design. Okay, but I'm just gonna use the term UI here. So to design a product well, you use a very good user experience and user interface. Okay. So I'm gonna teach you a little bit of a few principles that helps you design a good visual design or UI. There's a bunch of them actually. There's a lot of them if you plan to go down this route. But right now, I'm just going to teach you 3 major principles so that it helps you to start working with this designer. Okay. So first is hierarchy. Hierarchy is a fancy term, but I tell you it's a very important term. Hierarchy, long story short, is basically what is important, what is least important, what is less important, what is least important. So you got to find out what is the most important thing within your design. In every screen, what is the most important element? You can't make everything so important. For example, this is a block of text. It's a very bad information hierarchy, right? Like you look at this, right? Do you want to be reading this? I know I wouldn't want to be reading this, right? Text is it's not very bad, but it's bad. But at least it's better lah. Like you could see there's a heading here, there's a heading here. So at least you know there is a 3 to 4 paragraph here. Okay, it's getting there. And now this is an okay information hierarchy. You see the very biggest one over here. You see Vision AI is like, oh, that is the most important thing of that. And then you see 3 different paragraphs at the bottom. Okay, that's not bad. And this is a good information hierarchy. You see this heading, and then you see the 2 paragraph is like, okay, then you know that this is 2 different paragraph. But the rest, you kind of want to be reading this first, right? Like it suggests to you what do you want to read first. And then you want to read this first, and then if your eye skips on it, and then you will be reading this Vision API AutoML. If you're interested, then you will be reading the rest of it. See, that is a good information hierarchy. You don't make everything like this. It's like you're not even trying to suggest your user what is an important thing to do. Like they come to your app, right? They look at this, they're gonna be like, oh my god, I can't read this. I don't want to be reading this, and then they just immediately bounce off. They just uninstall your app. Okay. So yeah, when you design an app, okay, let's get into this first. For example, in screens. So you're gonna be designing screens. Look at this on the left and the right. Right now, have a split second. Which one is the better one and why? Okay, I'll give you an answer. The left one, you're not sure what to click on, which one to click. I mean, of course, like it does have a text, but you gotta read. And then imagine when you use an app, right? Do you actually read one by one? No, right? You gotta have to be immediately decisive about it. So the one on the right, it does that. There's only one that stands out. This one, sure lah, it is there, but it's secondary. We want them to be prioritizing this. Like forget password is also there, but it's not as a button. So it's a lower hierarchy. Okay, right. But then at the same time, login is a very prominent thing over there because we want them to be able to see that first. We want them to know that this is a login screen. Okay, next one. Next example, when you design something more complex with a lot of sophisticated items, this you can read later on. Like basically, I'm just pointing out like, okay, you see the headline so user know what is this page about. The body text is like secondary. The price is big. The feature is small, so it stands out. And then the rest, like the other item is designed in a way that it doesn't stand out too much. Like the color use is like quite diluted. And then of course, the main priority, the main highest in hierarchy there is this color. Like this is literally the first thing you see, right? It's so bright. Okay, why is designed that way? It's not it's not coincidence, you know. They designed this so that your finger is just like drawn into pressing next. Like at first, right, you see this already, you know that, okay, I'm gonna be pressing this button next. So those are UI UX, okay? So in summary, whenever you design your screen, whatever screen you are in, login screen ke, browsing screen ke, homepage ke, shopping cart ke, make sure you are clear what is the hierarchy and what do you want the user to pay attention to, right? You want them to press shop or press plus ke. So make sure you know what you want your user to do in that screen, right? This is also important for user action flow because like without hierarchy, user wouldn't know what to do next. Okay, I'll explain that in a bit later. So design principle 2 is grouping or grid system. Okay, grid system is basically, this is basically layout. I call it layout. So layout is, okay, we go back here. When you design a screen, especially when you have a lot of things in your screen, you want to break it down into different um, groups, right? Visually different groups. Okay, look at this. Otherwise, you will have like so many elements together. But we don't want that. We want them to be able to know what to look at. So what YouTube does, YouTube separates into two different groups. You see, like this is one group to scroll. This is the main focus group. Okay, next one. You see this left and right? This is a very bad grouping on the left. What I see here, you see like your eye is like not sure which one is the one separate group, add together group. And then you look at the ones on the right. It's a very clear distinction of the groupings. So this is a good grouping. Whether you are in graphic design or apps design, UX, this is a very important thing because you don't want your users to be getting lost in your visual element. You're gonna have a lot of things in your screen, so you want to make sure everything is separated together. Okay, just a quick example for the next one. See this? I can see clearly this is a very good grouping. All the boxes is like one group, so if they don't clash into each other and then your eye doesn't get tired, your user will know exactly what they are looking at. Okay, so summary, when page and see like, oh my god, so many things, I don't know which one to click at. Right, so yeah, just bear that in mind. And last principle is color. Okay, so there's a few ways why color is important in UI UX. Okay, first is to use color to direct user experience. Direct user experience, I mean, you're gonna have a lot of screen, you're gonna have a flow to it, right? So not some people, the right way of designing an app is using the color to kind of give a suggestion of what is the next step they have to do. Contoh, example, you see the screen. Okay. Do you see how they use blue consistently throughout all the pages? And you know that whenever you jump into one screen to another, you know that this is a next button that you have to press, right? Sorry, excuse me. Okay, this is like next button that you have to press. Okay, so the button is providing you a little bit of kind of a instructive flow over here. So whenever you design your screen, I suggest you pick a small color palette to stick with, and this button is meant for next button or proceed button. But whenever you don't want them to press that button, you can dilute this a little bit into something more, toned down, so that you see this two button here, you know which one to press next, right? Okay, see the orange one, same cases. Whenever there's a button, they use orange, but I mean, you don't press, you don't put a lot of colors lah. Like you don't want to put too many colors. Like, okay, you have this button, and then suddenly you have a red color button, and then people are gonna be like, I don't know which one to press. They have to read properly, but they know how to press. So just control your color palette, and then you look at this. You don't know what to do next exactly. Like it looks like a poster. It doesn't suggest what are you supposed to press on to move next, right? Like you look at the screen now. So please don't do like this. Please don't make too many choices. There's plenty of references in, if you go Pinterest or Dribble or Behance. Look at how people design their screens. They use limited colors, and they use the colors consistently so that people know what to do next throughout your app experience. All right. And okay, another reason, uh, using color to direct user experience. So look at this one. There's two buttons, no and yes. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? The no is also green, but this one, you have a right idea which one to press yes and which one is press no, right? The red is giving you a vibe that, okay, I probably should not press this. And here it's just like, what the hell? Sorry, my bad language. Yes and no. You're not sure which one to press. So this is also an important thing when you design your screen. When you have time to polish your UI, you think about what color is right for what button. Okay, sometimes you see like they just dilute it. Also can. It's a different approach. It's a different UI preference. But just make sure that don't do something like this lah. Yes and no. This is gonna confuse people very, very much. And lastly, people also use color to provide branding. Okay, branding is much more later on in the future. It's a marketing term, but what do you think of when you look at all this color palette? What does it remind you of? Okay, think for 2 to 3 seconds. I think everybody knows what this is. Okay, this is Facebook, this is Spotify, this is Twitter, this is Google, right? So when you work in a company or much later on, you will work with every company will want to have an identity. Like Facebook will want to have a color palette that they own, that when you look at it, you know that it's Facebook. Spotify is the same case. So everyone, we call this corporate identity, right? And branding. So wherever you work at, Foodpanda, okay, Foodpanda has like pinkish color theme. So you will design based on their corporate identity, right? All this color palette will be within your app. So sometimes we don't use color just for user experience. It's also to provide branding. But in your case right now, you're designing a solution challenge. You're not tied to anything, but I suggest you use a limited color palette, something like this. Improve your UI UX. Still don't mix it around lah. Like just pick a color palette that you are comfortable and you kind of like you like about it, and you can use the color palette for different elements in your design, but use it well. So in summary, when we design your screen, you gotta use your color wisely. Stick to a small color palette. Don't use like purple or something. I want to use purple. I want to use pink. I want to use orange. All the colors in the world. This is a good tips. Just go find some color palettes online. Color palette for UI UX. Um, they will suggest you a certain color range, maybe like 6 colors. Just use those colors in your app. Make sure one color is reserved for the highest hierarchy, so that you can use that as the most important element within your screen. Okay, so and use your color consistently. When you design already with a certain color palette for homepage, maybe orange and black, your home screen is like orange black. Suddenly your page at the back suddenly is like purple and green. It doesn't make sense. Okay, don't do that. Use it consistently for branding and also for UI UX. Don't confuse your users. Okay, and it also, as a bonus, it makes your app look nicer if you consistently use the same color. Right. Okay. I have come to a sort of an end to my session. I do have an. I want to open the floor to everyone who for this little small activity. While I'm here for this whole session. Okay. I think chat will share with us a little bit of Figma link. Okay. Figma is a prototyping tool. So I'm giving you an exercise to create a login screen. Okay, you can use any app, any tool. You can create with your sketch. You can sketch with your pencil also. It's fine. And then maybe you take a picture and then you upload. But go to this link in Figma. I believe organizer will be sharing this in the on the YouTube live streams. And then you drop your artwork there. Actually, it looks kind of like this. Hold on a second. Yeah, just drop your artwork here, and if anyone is interested, I can take a look at it a little bit in after 5 minutes, and then we can see what is the good um, application in your UI UX. Okay, this is just to open the floor. That if you go ahead, drop anything you want to test out, but use this element. Use profile. Okay, I want you to put in profile pictures, name, login, email, password, and welcome text. Forgot password and sign up. Use whatever I've shared with you just now and create a login screen. So and then I'll let you know what we can improve based on what you designed, and maybe we can learn something over there. But apart from that, I'll give you 10 minutes, and I think we can open the floor for a quick Q&A as well. While any of you can design something. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna go to YouTube and see if we have any question. Yeah. All right. Okay. UM. We have a first question by Athira Lokman. Okay. So I want to answer this question. Athira Lokman asks, so does that mean UX is about making the design more practical? You nailed it. That is pretty much what is UX is. UI is designing something is nice, but UX is actually designing something that you can actually use. Okay, right now, remember, you are a software designer, UI UX designer. You are meant to solve problem. You're not just here to design a beautiful app. That's not what you're doing here. You got to make sure what you design works. Oh, I see a lot of people in Figma. Way to go. Go for it, guys. All right. We have a next question. Zarin is asking, how to measure UX efficiency of an app? That's a good question. Okay. So remember just now we have the little triangle thing, right? Hold on a second. Let me get back here. Okay, this is why sprint and user product design process is very important. You can refer back to the sprint just now, but this is the same thing. When you create an app, you learn first like the user problem, the user persona, and then you build the app, and then you measure. Measure is the testing phase. So you create an app already that is finished already. You're so confident. You love the app. The app is it's so beautiful. Like your friend said it's nice. Your mom said it's nice. Your cat said it's nice. But is it actually usable? Is it actually efficient? This is where you test. So when you get into industry, you have to test your app in a lot of ways. You have to there's a certain grouping exercise. There's a survey. There's the they call it like live testing. There's so many methods of testing, but the sole purpose of it, right, is to find out whether your app is usable. Okay, so one of the testing is done, right? It's called live testing. It's basically you sit right in front of someone who never see your app. So you ask them to use an app. You give them a certain goal, like okay, can you buy glasses and hat one hat one glass from this app that I made, and then you just sit in front of her or him, and then you watch how fast do they get into that actual process. Like from starting the homepage, right? What do they have to do? Do they click on the wrong things? Do they, do they actually like, you'll find all sort of funny things when people use your app at the very first stage, and it's completely normal. Okay, so that's like one of the tests to find out whether your app is actually efficient or not. And then from there, you take that finding, you learn back. It's a cycle. You learn back and then you build again for the next patch. That is a cycle. That is why we do agile method. Right. Next one. We have a next question. Sam, are the principles also apply to presentation slides? Oh, you're talking about presentations. Yes. Yes. So you're gonna be presenting this. You're gonna be pitching your ideas to. I think that's how it works. You're gonna be pitching your ideas to stakeholders and people, right? Whatever I just shared with you, they are all any design concept, any design principle, even graphic design, even web design, even motion design. They are all the same thing. That you gotta make sure what is the highest importance. Even this slide, right? I put my headline here. I put a very small headline here. It's like a topic thing. So I gotta make sure what is the first thing you see in my slide, right? And you cannot put everything together, and you have to group them well together next to each other. Like you cannot stash everything together. Like your judge will also look at it like, apa ni kan? There's like so many things going on. What am I supposed to look at? So those applies as well. Okay, you can use the same principle. Okay, bring this hierarchy, color, and layout. Bring this wherever you go, whatever you do in your future, even your home or your food. Right, next one. We have a question from Turtle of Cakes. If I major in something like artificial intelligence, do you think I should learn more about UI and UX elements? Would it be helpful for me? All right, that's a good question. That's an interesting question, actually. I have a few people connection in the artificial intelligence. To be honest, if you ask me, um, artificial intelligence is much more in back end kind of things. It's much more of how you code things, how does it behave, right? But if you ask me, there is a little intersection there with a UI UX element. I cannot say for sure because I'm not in this field and I don't want to give you the wrong message or something. But if you if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I might be able to direct you with the right people, and they might be able to give you the better answer for it. Wait, let me think. It's a really good question. You got to understand UI UX is something more front end, something that user interact with. Okay, you have a software, you have a user. The middle is UI UX. That is your bridge of communication between your user. But AI is something else. AI is a product of its own. But I guess how the AI interacts with people, if you're a user, that is also a UI UX. So it depends on what kind of UI UX you're trying to build. Like if is it the UI UX that actually interacts with people? It's a quite broad question, but I'm happy to talk to you if you want to talk more about this. All right, I think that's from UM. Let's see from UniKL. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Why do we need to have a profile picture in a login screen? You're absolutely right. And thank you for calling me up. Honestly, I prepared that in 2 or 3 minutes. You might not have to need a profile picture in the login screen. I think I confused that with myself with a profile page. Okay, feel free to skip that. Go ahead. And I have a next question from James Harry. How does it feel to be a senior art director? It must be a big responsibility. I believe my designers are here to see me embarrass myself as well. Hi, Amirul. uh, okay, it's definitely a big responsibility. You're gonna be having your own team, and you're gonna be, uh, you know, like the whole brand direction is on your shoulder, and you have to make sure it's right. And you gotta really care very, very well about your brand. You gotta care that your brand work is not just a work anymore, and you have people working with you that you have to care about. Like you have to make sure they grow together with you. You grow together with them as well. It's a very heavy responsibility, but it's super fun. It's it's really super fun. I think in terms of collaborations lah, collaborations and figuring things out. What is the direction moving forward, and figuring out different things. Like I want to experiment something different. Like this, all this thing has goals. What is the brand's goal? But can we try a different method of getting into that goal? So it's a really fun and very engaging occupation. You probably definitely love it. Okay. Right. Okay. No more question from UM and UniKL. Let's go get into our Figma. Let's see where we at. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. I do want to whoever just came to this session, I do want to point out that yes, you actually don't really need to create the profile picture. Thanks for pointing that out. That's my mistake from my end. Okay. All right, guys. I give you guys 1 more minute, and then we can stop. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go through the first screen. Just a very quick one. Okay, this is a good one. Welcome to Figma. And then you have a little some sort of animation, which is good. A lot of app does have their branding position here. They have their illustrations or things, right? Email, password, forgot your password. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Okay. You can actually tone down this a little bit more. Maybe sometimes you just this into a stroke effect that you don't have to have a feel for it. Some people they hold on a second. Some people they just like leave the box out, and then sorry, whoever designed this, I cut your design block. Okay, something like this. But you got the hierarchy right. This is good. Okay, next. Username. Welcome to the underworld. Blah 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 blah. Okay, password, email. Sign up and log in. This is also a good one. Okay, but actually, right, I do want to suggest to you guys whenever you guys do the UI UX for fill in, sorry, the fields, you should tone down a little bit lah, because like you don't want too much attention for this. Okay, this is one trick as well. When you guys tone down this a little bit, it makes you feel like okay, this is meant to be something that you need to fill in. Like when you go into a screen, right, you know that when this is like toned down, like the opacity is low, you know that you're meant to click here and type in whatever detail that you have to. So that's just a little trick. Okay, next one. Come back. You. That's nice. That's nice. That's a good one. You see this in Facebook. This happens when you have logged in before, and then you have cookies start to to remember you. Okay, email, password. Okay, good. But right now, I suggest when you do the actual screen, tone down this a little bit so that your green pops out a little bit more. But this is a really good one, not you. Okay, this is a good positioning. Forgot password. Let me see. Okay, I guess this is like sign up, right? Yeah, this is good. This is good. Welcome. Okay, see, I see this person has a really nice color palette over here. They're sticking to one color. Okay, this is good. Username over here. Okay, just to mention one thing about what we talk about grouping, right? Right now, what I see, my eye is like looking at left. And then these two items is like looking right. So you probably have to watch out for your grouping there. Let's say you want to design this right. You might want to consider putting everything in one side. Oh, but actually you will have the sign up button. But yeah, good. It's just that watch out for the awkward spaces lah. Like macam here, right? This is a question of alignment. But I do understand that you're doing this to make this stand out a little bit more. Just watch out for misalignment. But because whenever you design an app, right, you're gonna have most of the time you're gonna have your one hand on the phone, and then imagine you tap here on the right, and then your finger have to move here and there. You gotta watch out for that. Like we don't want user to have to use both of their hand together. Okay. Do we still have more? Okay, let's go here. Abdullah, hi. Welcome to app. App name start. Okay, this is good. Choose off headline. First thing I read this already. This one is like secondary, right? This is also a good way of designing it, putting the instruction outside of the box. Okay, that's good. All right, that's good. Okay, but when you design, make sure this stands out more because I'm sure you know this lot. Right? This is just probably just a prototype of the fields, but make sure the button stands out more. Okay. Okay, the button has to be the highest priority. Right now, I feel like this also needs to tone down a little bit because it's taking too much attention. Okay, now at first glance, I see it's already. Okay, Abdullah, if you are designing this, you gotta fix your grouping a little bit because right now I see everything together, like one box, one box, one box, one box. This is why the first time I couldn't locate where is the login. So in order to do that, you group them together. You identify what do you want to group together. Okay, this is one group because it's a text. It's meant to welcome you. Okay, this has to be together, but I suggest you bring this closer. And then you bring this closer. See, that's one group. And then this is meant to be together. Right, better. See, now I know what to look at. This is like button area. This is like header. This is like the fields. And okay, we have a last one. All right, good try here, but this is quite a lot of colors, and I wouldn't know what to look at first. I definitely would be looking at this field first. Okay, so it's okay. Look at a lot of reference. You got to find out what is the most important hierarchy. Okay, for example, I give you an example for a login screen. The most important thing has to be the login button. This is not meant to draw too much attention. So you might want to dilute it down a little bit. And this is also not meant to draw too much attention. You want to draw it down a little bit. This is meant to draw attention. So you color it or you make it a big button, whatever works. Okay, whoops, don't use red. It's meant for grab some sort of different attention. Okay, maybe you want to use green. All right, done. There you go. We fixed it a little bit. And then as usual, fix a little bit of the grouping. Okay. Set name over here. This line, I'm not sure what is it for, but probably has some reasons to it. Separator, right? Forgot password. If forgot password, maybe okay. Actually, that's not a bad place. Maybe tone it out a little bit, so that overall we see a nice looking hierarchy. There you go. All right. Thanks for participating. I call this Fig Jam. You guys are doing great. You guys are on the right track, definitely. Just keep doing what you guys are doing. I think that sums up my session. Again, remember you are a problem solver, so pay attention to how you are designing your app and make sure they are using your app very well to solve their problem. At the end of the day, your app has to solve that problem. Okay, that's all, and you guys can contact me if you have any? Oh, hold on a second. I do have one question. Karina Atika asks, if we are looking to have a career on web or mobile app design, what should we prepare for applying for jobs internship? Okay, so design, I'll be honest, is very heavy on portfolio. Portfolio is basically um, you have to try to do some app of yourself. Okay, you maybe as okay, portfolio is basically some sample works that you have done before. I get it. Maybe you haven't actually done an app before. Maybe you haven't worked before. You don't have an app to showcase to your new employer, right? What you can do, you create some fun project at home just for yourself. So you think of a problem. What do you want to do? I want to do a shopping app, and then you start to design based on the process that we talked about just now. Okay, you design based on the process by user defining what is the user persona, the testing method, and then you follow the exact same flow, and then you document that. Okay, you document that as in you you show all this process within somewhere, like you put that in Behance ke, you put that in your PowerPoint ke. When you apply for a job, I want you to share all this process that you go through, because people who want to employ you on web design and UI UX, they want to know how you design the app. They want to know your process. They want to know you design in the right way. Just now, if you follow that, that is the right way lah. Like by defining the user, defining the problem, and then prototype, testing. Those are the right process. Okay, and then you design your app, you design your interface. You don't have to actually program your app lah, but you design the prototype, and then that's good enough. Maybe you can get some feedback from people. So that is good enough for you to impress the employee for this position. Okay, but of course, as you go for a higher and higher and higher position, you got to impress more. You got to have an app that actually has a very good conversion, things like that. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn, Karina, for if you want to ask more about this. All right, so you guys have a really great weekend. I pass back to Praveen.
Thank you so much, Sir Iskandar Zulkarnain, for this wonderful session. And our audience, thank you for all the responses and for your curiosity and just being here with us to take part in all the activities. Amazing job, guys. Give yourself a round of applause. And now, that is not all. We have a last but not the least, the third session for today. Yes. So, before we move into it, let's take a look about what we're going to talk about. So the last session today is regarding on technical architecture, and for that, we would like to welcome Mohammad Fakhruddin, the GDSC lead UniKL MIIT, who's currently pursuing bachelor's in information technology in software engineering. And he has a Microsoft Learn student ambassador at UniKL MIIT, and he has an experience as 2 years of experience as executive software developer at Edaran Berhad. And he also is a Android certified application developer. And we came to know that he's in love with Flutter, which is an, of course, open source UI software developed by Google. And also, one more thing, we came to know that he's a cat lover. So, without further ado, and wasting any time, let's welcome our cat loving, most essentially the GDSC lead UniKL to carry on the talk. The floor is yours, Mohammad Fakhruddin.
Hello guys, thank you Praveen. Okay, so thank you to all from University Malaya and also from University Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so yes, my name is Muhammad Fakhruddin, based Korea Zaha, and my major in software engineering. So in this workshop, we will be discussing about basic technical architecture. Okay, so yes, so first, what is technical architecture? Okay, technical architecture, it's not a software, it's not a tools. Yeah, it can be a tools to draw your architecture, and it's not a programming language also. It's a technical architecture is a simply the organization of the apps or software. Okay, so it's a diagram. This organization includes all components, how they interact with each other, the environment in which they operate, and the principle used to design the software. In many cases, it can also include the evolution of the software into the future. Okay, so yes, why we need it? Okay, So first of all, it's a part of planning phase in the software or apps development. Okay, so if you learn about software development lifecycle, there is a phase called design phase. So design phase is all about your architecture, design your prototype, do the mock design, and yeah, it's all about the design lah. Okay, so yes, you are not going to start your project without planning, especially when the project involve a huge of money or budget. If you are in company or in organization, okay, so nobody gonna spend money on your project if you don't have a plan, right? Yeah, in business there is no trust me, I'm a programmer, trust me, I'm a coder. No, 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 we don't do that in the professional organization, okay, or institution. Okay, so secondly, better communication with a non-tech person. Okay, so the reality is when you need to understand one thing. Okay, if you are in if you are in the company or organization, you will deal with the finance department, human resource department, or top of the top shareholder or executive, or maybe you are pitching in front of the investor. Okay, so not all of this person in your company or your organization knows code or technical things. So you need a diagram or architecture to explain to them. Okay, yeah. So lastly, documentation for maintainability. Okay, so imagine even with the documentation, it's hard to maintain the apps or software. And now you imagine to maintain the software without documentation. Okay, so that can be very hard to improve the software or do some changes, or maybe you want fix the bug. Okay, so architecture is very important things in a software development aspect. Okay, so next. So this is the example of technical architecture, or we can call it as a software or technical architecture. Okay. So this is Uber apps architecture. Uber technology may look simple, but when a user requests ride from the app and the driver arrive to take them to their destination, okay. But behind the scenes, however, a giant infrastructure consisting of thousands of service and terabytes of data support each and every trip on the platform. Okay, so whose responsibility to design an architecture? It's not a coder or programmer. It's a system analyst responsibility. But depend on the company you work on. Okay, if you go to the startup, you learn a lot because you do a lot of things. You being a jack of all trades. You the programmer, you the database admin, you the software architect, system analyst, and so on. Okay, but if you are in a large organization, specific role will do only specific tasks. Okay, if you are system analyst, then you just do the documentation and decide the architecture. Okay, so yeah, you can see this is the database. Okay, so this is the log file, this is the microservices. Okay, so this is the protocol. When you request from server, right, you use the HTTP request. So this is the protocol, and also WebSocket. Okay, so next. Okay, so when people think of apps, they usually think about mobile apps or laptop or desktop or computer, tablet, or even smartwatch. Okay, so we think about mobile application written in Kotlin. Kotlin is a new thing, right? Kotlin is pop up because Kotlin is appear because there is a sue from the Java from the microsystem company. They sue the Android, I think. So that's why they use their own language. That's why we have Kotlin now. Okay, and Java or Swift or maybe cross-platform like Flutter. Okay, we think about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but this is the only part what makes our apps works. Okay, so in reality, apps have much more than that. In addition to the front end or client, there is an entire back end to most application. So most backend even have multiple parts, which can mostly be bugged into running code, data storage, and other service. Okay. So actually, this symbol is a symbol service from the Google Cloud platform. Okay. So later, if later I want you to write down your own architecture, but you doesn't need to draw the logo. Okay. You can write the name of the product. Okay. So if you want to use database such as MySQL, then just write MySQL. Okay. So next. Okay. So let's walk through an example. let's say we want to build a photo sharing application. We can start by defining the client. In this case, we want it to be a web application. So what I put here is a web. We put the screen of the monitor. Okay, we put the monitor lah. Okay, then we need somewhere to host our backend and run our code. For that, we can choose Cloud Function or maybe a PHP. Okay, so Cloud Function is a tool which allow developer to write a function in Python, Node, or Go and trigger it on HTTP request. Okay, so actually, I will tell you about Cloud Function later, but it's all about how you decide your architecture. If you want to use microservice, then you can use Cloud Function or standard application. Later I tell you about Cloud Function. Okay, so maybe most of us never heard of this service, so it's okay. And yeah, we also need somewhere to store our user information like username or password or maybe address, home address. For that, we can use Firebase Firestore. Okay, so this is a NoSQL database which also fully managed, meaning that it handles all of the scaling for you. So lastly, we need to store our photo somewhere. For that, we use Firebase Storage. This is Firebase file storage system allowing us to store our photo on the cloud. Okay, so if you want to store anything, not only a picture, for this context, this is a photo sharing app, right? So we want to store the photo, but Fire Storage can allow us to store anything lah. Okay, so that's it. We have our photo app. So let's say we want to add a photo searching functionality like in Google Photos. So to do so, we can use the Cloud Vision API. Okay, the Cloud Vision API use advanced machine learning. It allows us to automatically create the text for all the image, letting us search through all of our photo with the key terms. Okay, so next, so okay, so I will tell you about this. Okay, this is the App Engine. App Engine standard is environment container instant running on the Google infrastructure. Okay, so actually and honestly, most of us never heard of App Engine or Cloud Function. Just now I said about Cloud Function, right? And I confident that we all never used this service before. It is because we student never face a heavy traffic of user visit our website or use our apps. We just do a personal project or final year project, right? Yes, that's why we never heard about it. We never face a lot of user to use our apps. For the sake of scalability and performance, since we're going to develop for solution challenge, then I think you can survey about this service. Okay, then you can use it in this solution challenge. Okay, so okay, nothing here. So lastly, we might want to add different type of client that each interact with the backend, give our access to their photos on all of their device. Okay, so as you can see here, we put a lot of front end here. We have the smartphone, smartwatch, tablet, and also screen, the monitor screen. Okay, so that's why you know why I love to use Flutter. Okay, because you can deploy on Android and iOS. Okay, but if you just use the Android Studio or maybe you want to write a iOS app, you need to use the Objective C, right? Or Swift. Okay, you need to do it separately. Okay, so if you have this kind of framework like Flutter, you can deploy anywhere. Okay, so not only that, Flutter can also deploy as a web and also desktop application. Desktop application is a new update from the Flutter. Okay, it's like 4-in-1. You can deploy, you write once and you can deploy everywhere. Okay, so use Flutter. Learn how to use it. Okay, I very encourage you all to explore Flutter right now. Okay, so how we can do this? Like anything else, this is much easier than done. So how can we make the decision in the practice? Okay, so we have 3 things to consider. Okay, consideration, research, and design. Okay, so we need to question ourselves. consider first. What does my application require? First, we make a list of consideration. Make a list of everything that might impact how this product is built. Okay, so that's mean everything from how the user will use it to what your technical experience is. Okay, so first, what does my application require? What programming language does we need to use? What kind of database we should implement? Is it SQL or no SQL? We need to use a cloud service? It depends on your project actually. Okay, so how many people are on my team? Is it 2? Is it 4? You decide. Okay. So from my opinion, I prefer your team to have 4 students. Okay, because maximum is 4. Recently, I watched the demo day, and there is one team that only involved 2 students. So it's up to you. If you can pitch at the same time, you can do the development. That's great advantage for you. Okay. So, and the next question: how experienced are we? Yeah, yes, of course, you need to find someone that experienced in every role, right? You need to find someone that can give the best presentation when pitching. You need to find someone that experienced in using any programming language or cloud service that you want to use for your project, okay? So, how about if there is no one experienced in my team? So, for me, if you join this Google Solution Challenge, even you don't have any experience before, right? That's okay, because for me, this is journey is also a process of learning something. Okay, so at least you know which part that you can improve so that you will be better in that skills in the future. So that's okay. It's okay if you're not the top winner, at least we learn something, right? Okay, so what language tech are we comfortable with? Okay, so in my university, our subject is really focused on PHP and Java. So maybe if our team join this solution, they will use that language that they learned from the classes before, right? So some of us students also do their own research. Okay. So yes, even our university doesn't have Flutter subject, but we have students that know the Flutter framework. They're doing their own self exposure. Okay, they do their own research. Yeah, it's up to your team. Ask your teammate what programming language that your teammate familiar with. Okay, so what is our budget? This solution is a long-term games. Okay, it's all about scale your project. Google Cloud Platform have their limit capacity for free tier for every each of the service. Okay, so if you want to use the Google Map, they have their own price. But if you only use for uh, just a minimum capacity, then it's okay, they give you for free. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's because let's say if your app is still in a early phase where user is not a frequently use your apps, so it's free to use the GCP service, but we need to consider the budget once your app is growing. Okay, so what is our timeline? The submission form will open on March 15 and close on March 30. So decide your timeline very carefully, okay? Okay, next. Okay, you should do research and make a list of tools you may use at this link. Okay, you can wait. You can search this and you will find popular tools called the Google Developer Cheat Sheet, which describe every Google Cloud tool in 4 or less. Okay, so we create an extension of this cheat sheet for you, which outline all of the Google developer tools, which you're free to use it. Okay, so for tech design, the last step is to actually design the tag. So for this tag, I want you all to take out piece of paper and marker and divide it like this picture. Okay. So in each part of the grid, you write what tools you use and what purpose they serve. If you don't have a paper, then it's okay. You can use pen to draw this simple box. Okay. And then you can put your technology stack in each box. And also to give the reason each technology you use. Okay, so for example, I want to use Firebase. Why I want to use Firebase? Is it cheap? Is it open source? Or their performance is very good? Put the reason why you use it. Okay, so now I want you to choose the idea that I provided. that I provide for you. Okay, you might have already come with an idea, perhaps the idea you work on for the global solution challenge. We also have 3 example idea for you that you can choose from. Okay, you can choose here: e-commerce, food delivery, productivity apps, or maybe for gym apps. Okay, you can use it. Okay, so let's draw begin. Okay, so now I want you to upload your technical architecture here, and I will comment all your picture, all your technical architecture there. Okay, so I will give you a comment there, and I will give the recommendation uh if the technology is not suitable for your apps. Okay, so uh so now I want you to finish your architecture and upload the architecture on the link given. Okay, so don't worry, we are not asked you to design architecture like Uber architecture that I showed you before. Just draw 3 box: front end, back end at the top, back end running code at the top, data storage below it, and also the other service. Okay, so now I will wait for maybe 2 minutes from now. And yes, you can start drawing. And make sure to scan this QR code, or maybe you can search this URL so that you can upload your picture of technical architecture. Okay, so yeah, I give you 2 minutes. So uh 9:56, yes, I will check your technical architecture. Okay, so before that, I want to check first, is there any question here? Okay, I think there is no question. Okay, first of all, I will go back to the example of Uber architecture. Okay, first I will go back and I will answer other question. Okay, so Kairina, from your experience, how to know which tech framework is suitable for the app we want to develop? Okay, if you ask me the suitable tech, actually it depends on the organization itself. Okay, if you go to the startup, uh they are not they will consider about the budget. Okay, how much engineer they want to hire you. If you are full stack developer, then they doesn't need to have the front end developer or back end developer or database administrator. You do all of the job. Okay, so if you ask me tech framework suitable for app, actually it's you can check Flutter also good, and MySQL, or maybe you can check uh MongoDB for NoSQL. Okay, so yeah, and also sometimes I have trouble in navigate through framework documentation efficiently. Okay, any tips? Okay, this is good question. Okay, because actually we have a lot of what we call it, resources. Okay, we can learn from YouTube, we can learn from documentation, right? Okay, I will give you the answer. Uh, Books, reading from books is good, but it will outdate later. Okay, because the online documentation is the one that the most efficient more than anything lah. Because if you buy books and the books is older version, then you will get the outdated version of your language lah. Let's say I buy a programming language book called PHP version 5.6, but today we already have a PHP 8.0. Okay, PHP 8.0 version. So books is good but not very efficient lah, because you will face a security issue, same as YouTube also. Okay, same as YouTube also. But it's okay. I think for if you want to start, if you want to make a first step, I think that's okay if you want to check on YouTube and also books. But if you ask me, books and documentation is very boring. Yeah. But that's very boring. But if you are in industry, uh, I hope you will check the documentation lah. Okay, documentation is very important lah. Online documentation, okay? Online documentation. Okay. So yeah. So already okay. I think already 9:56. So yes, I will go to the next slide, which is for UniKL student. Okay, so for UniKL student, please scan here for attendance. Okay, so this is for our GHawk system. So for those join our event, then they will get the point lah. They will get the point for join outside of the academic class lah. Okay, I will give you 2 minutes. Okay, so now I think that's all from me. So I think I will pass back to Praveen. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mohammed Fakhruddin. It was a mind-blowing session, and I'm thanking all of you for being here today for throughout all this session today, all three sessions. Good job, you guys. Give applause to you again. And I hope everyone is excited to actually join the solution challenge this year. If some of you are having trouble in forming a team, then we have here. Again, I'm reminding you about this Padlet again. We created a team formation dashboard for you guys. So click the link we shared in the chat box and type in your information in the Padlet for other users to discover you. Yes, right now. And once again, thanks to our amazing speakers today. I love them all. Hope you all did too. And if you did, please help us to drop some good comments in the feedback section. Yes, right here. I'll give you about 1 minute. So if you guys are done with the feedback form, please drop some thumbs up in the chat box so I know that you have completed it. So yes. I'm currently looking at the YouTube live of UM's live. I can see about 22 people are here. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys stayed till the end. Family. So please make sure you fill the feedback form before you go. Okay, so for now, it's already 1 minute, but you guys please make sure you scan the code right there and then just fill it up as fast as you can. And in the meantime, I would like to talk to you guys about the social media links. So I've seen that many people have so many questions that they still want to ask the speakers that we had for the 3 sessions today. Either it could be the community divisions of GDSC UM, or it could be Mr. Iskandar Zulkarnain, or it could be about UniKL. So here are the links, and I'm sure we'll be dropping the links in the description. I mean, in the chat box down below. So make sure you check them out regarding Google Devs for Students Club, University of Malaya, and also Google Devs for Students Club, University Kuala Lumpur, and of course, Mr. Iskandar Zulkarnain's LinkedIn profile to know more info. And finally, here we are. It's quite sad that we have to come to this end today, but I hope all of you actually had great fun today and a lot of knowledge. I know that most of us from in UM are having sem break, or maybe not yet, but those in sem break, I guess you have already have gained a lot more knowledge than you should in this sem break. So cheers to you guys. And those not having break right now, I mean, guys, let's have fun today, okay? This new infos could be helpful in future, who knows? So hope you guys had fun. So we can't wait to see you what you build. So make sure you join the solution challenge, and see you next time. Bye bye.